Herzlich willkommen im Jahr 2026. Während ich noch ein paar Tage in den Bergen Ski fahre, sprechen wir in der heutigen Classics-Episode über die kritischen Entscheidungen zwischen Product Validation und Scalable Growth. Mein Gast ist kein geringerer als Dave Boyce, Chief Strategy Officer bei Winning by Design. Kein Thema hat mich letztes Jahr so beschäftigt wie dieses. Immer noch unterschätzt und so fundamental wichtig für den Übergang von Founder-led Sales zur skalierbaren Go-to-Market-Organisation. Wir sprechen darüber, warum Investoren nicht mehr mehrere Versuche finanzieren, Product Market Fit zu erreichen, über das Hiring-Paradoxon, über Daves Blueprint, Mindset, Talent und Time und wie große Firmen und Scale-Ups dedizierte Growth Pods außerhalb ihrer Core-Struktur aufbauten. Und nun viel Spaß mit Dave Boyce und mit mir, Jörg Schäfer. Hello and a warm welcome to another episode. My guest today is Dave Boyce, Executive Chairman at Winning by Design and a veteran of multiple successful SaaS companies. Dave brings invaluable insights from both the enterprise world at Oracle and the high-growth startup ecosystem. In this conversation, we tackle the tough questions. How do you know when you truly have product market fit? When is the right time to hire your first revenue leader? How should you structure your go-to-market team for maximum impact? Dave shares a powerful framework involving mindset, talent, and time that has helped companies like HubSpot successfully launch new product lines. He also reveals why curious problem solvers outperform decorated executives when building your early commercial team. Whether you're a founder approaching product market fit or a CEO looking to discover growth at scale, this episode is packed with actionable insights that will help you make better strategic decisions. Let's dive in with Dave. Thanks for taking your time, Dave.
Amazing. Thank you. The Zurich to Utah connection. We're both calling from the mountains.
Exactly. So we just talked about going for a nice ride with our family yesterday. So it's such a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, brother. I'm looking forward to a good conversation. I love the clientele that you work with, the partners. I don't know what you call them, partners, founders, but people who are building things out of nothing. That's my people. Amazing. Good job.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And today we will dive into more details. So what is kind of a guide, basically supporting founders scaling their company? And you've done a terrific job. I'm a big fan of Jacko. Please say hello to him. So I would say let's take it off. I think one of the pivotal moments for every founder and founder team, please jump in, Dave,
Sure.
is that whatever that means, product market fit, because then you've overcome that, you've built up some traction in the market, and the latest, this is kind of a strong indicator to build up a team or start building up a team.
Yeah. So Bjorn, that's a really difficult topic, because it used to be that you could raise money in multiple rounds to continue trying to discover product market fit. And now investors are less interested in funding your second try, your third try, your fourth try at finding product market fit. And sometimes you could actually pave over not having product market fit because you just threw a lot of sales at something, right? So product's not perfect, product market fit's not perfect, but I'm just going to sell the heck out of it and we'll figure out as we go. Can't do that anymore. Doesn't work. Like investors aren't going for that, because this kind of growth at all cost and paper over the problems in the product is just that's not the ethos right now for investors. So indeed, I agree with you. We have to find product market fit. And when I work with founders, the leading indicator metric for me for product market fit is usage retention. I know we talk about dollar retention, but it takes me a year to figure out whether somebody's going to renew. Meanwhile, I can know from their usage on the product whether they're intending to renew or not. And I might even be able to know within the first few days whether they're discovering kind of that aha moment or first impact moment. And so that's what I want to track. Like, how reliably can I get someone to first impact before I lose her attention? And if I can convince myself that 70% of the time when I start someone new on the product, they're going to hit first impact before they run out of attention span, then I know that I can start scaling, and then I can assume that I have product market fit and continue down the journey. But Until then, Bjorn, no way. There's no way you want to scale something that is a leaky bucket.
Yeah, in that regard, it's pretty boring because I share the same opinion. So I'm a big fan as well from Mark Roberge and Stage 2 and the terrific work he's done at HubSpot. And he's calling it kind of the leading indicators of retention, and whether I call it impact or retention. I think because you're absolutely right. So for example, if I'm dealing with a lot of B2B software companies starting at 10K, partly with 3-year contracts. So if you would look at contract retention, you won't get any indicator because you won't see churn. But if you really dive into usage, and ideally, and I'm not a fan of usage kind of alone. So if you link it to value or retention anticipation, I think that's the main criteria for me, in addition to some repeatability and some market traction. So to see that you have at least some revenue picking up. So that's, in a very simplified way, my way to assess product market fit.
For sure. And it's the type of thing you just can't skip. You cannot, you can't assume, well, I've been at this for a year, so I guess it's time to scale. No, it's not time to scale until you get that right. And even if you have to, and I've had to do this before, even if you have to, I want to say this in a kind way, but
come on,
fold up tent or give up or shut down a product and create a new product. Like, as long as you still have the ability to do that, that's way better than persisting with something that isn't going to work.
Yeah. It always, because I've been founder myself, sometimes it's I have to say, right now, supporting founding teams or founded teams, it's much easier to judge from the outside. So it's really
totally,
if you're in this kind of crazy madness of daily struggle, so it's so hard to zoom out and then really say, okay, come on, is there any chance to get this turned around or not? This is super hard
tough. Because when you're a CEO, you have to sell investors that you're onto something. And you have to do that with confidence. And then you have to sell employees that we're building something that's going to work. And you have to do that with confidence so that everybody can stay focused. And then the moment when you realize that it's not going to work, you might be in the middle of a fundraising pitch with investors. You might be in the middle of recruiting some employees. You might be in the middle of trying to keep people kind of focused on developing the thing that they've committed their career to right now. And so, like, pulling back on that that's a hard moment. And you got to channel a lot of charisma to get people to the next one and to the next one, to the next one. It is worth it, but it's hard to do.
Absolutely. So let's assume, let's turn towards the glory land of repeatability and scalability, because I think, for me at least, when we're talking about product market fit and then what are the next steps of basically scaling for founders, I would distinguish between repeatability and scalability. So meaning what I see, for example, in reaching that product market fit, that you have, especially if you strongly, and normally founders are involved, you take on opportunistically some revenue from clients which aren't your perfect fit. And for me, it's absolutely fine to take on, in the first wave, these customers and learn, okay, they are churning fast, or we aren't delivering the value we used to deliver to this kind of other segment. But once we've built up this traction and get these insights, and often the product is kind of getting developed along, then this focusing on some dedicated sections, segments, use case, etc., is, for me, the first step towards a healthy repeatability.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And we get this mixed up. Founders get this mixed up, and we abuse these phrases that we hear tossed around, like, do things that are unscalable. That's like a thing that comes out of Y Combinator, right? Do things that are unscalable. Yeah, in the beginning, so that you can get initial customers on your platform. You don't care if it's scalable or not. You just need people in there so you can see if it's actually delivering the impact that you thought it would, and if they're actually going to vote with their feet and come back to it. But after that, once you have, but you do only enough, like the Eric Ries thing, do only enough that will allow you to test your hypothesis. So an MVP is just enough to test whether this is going to create impact for your users. And then once you've done that, and once you've figured out that it is in fact going to do that, now I do have to get to repeatability. Now it is about trying to figure out whether I can do it the same way every single time. And exactly what you said, I got to figure out, is there a group of people that I can get access to, or customers that I can get access to on a repeatable basis, running the exact same plays, where I, as the founder, am out of the loop, and somebody else is actually pursuing a process that's going to be repeatable, and that's going to deliver revenue. All three sources of revenue: acquisition, retention, expansion. In the beginning, it's all about acquisition, so we're just talking about acquisition. But can I run repeatable processes within an identifiable set of target customers that are going to reliably attract customers and generate revenue?
To just add a little spice to it. So if I'm a founder that has found already some repeatability, and now I get a copy of Jacco's book, 600 pages, 650, by the way. You're smiling still. All right. So what would you do in terms of what are the elements you would double down on doing? So anticipating growth acceleration, and you don't need them right now, but in 6 months, probably you are very happy that you did them.
Okay. So the most fraught decision that I'm going to make as a founder, as I'm going from, discovering product market fit, and let's assume that we have the happy moment of water flowing downhill, people are renewing, people are expanding. I think I have product market fit. Amazing. Now I got to get to repeatability and scalability and go to market fit, as you say. The most fraught moment, Bjorn, I think this might resonate with you, given my understanding of who you work with, is hiring your first revenue leader. To me, that's the most fraught moment. Now, there are some things that you want to do from a revenue architecture standpoint to put some groundwork in place, but you hire the wrong revenue leader and she can mess all of that up. Like, she can be, she can bring with her the playbook from her last company, or the things that worked with her at her last company, and say, and you might have even hired her because of where she used to work and the success that company had. But if that company was a different go-to-market motion than the one that you're running, or that company was a different stage of growth than the one that you're running, adjustments are going to have to be made. So you need, especially for that first revenue leader, you need someone who is curious, who is a problem solver, and who is willing to roll sleeves up and figure out with you the revenue architecture determinants of go-to-market fit. So now let's just assume that, I don't hire someone just because they used to work at Oracle. I don't hire someone just because they were with a company that went public, or just because, they've had multiple gigs at highly successful companies. I hire them because they're curious, problem solvers, ready to roll up their sleeves and architect the revenue of this business. So I've hired the right person. Now I got to have signal. Like, if I'm going to measure product market fit, I have to know usage retention, or that leading indicator of retention, as you were saying. Where does that come from? It comes from signal. If I'm going to, which means I've got to have my product instrumented, and I've got to know where that usage is coming from and whether they're reaching that moment. In go-to-market fit, it's the same thing. Like, I need to know how a customer is making their way through that customer journey, through the stages of the bow tie, with what kind of reliability and what kind of velocity. And I need to be able to measure that, because I'm going to be running experiments against that. And if I don't have a scoreboard, then I don't know which experiments succeeded and which experiments failed. So I definitely want, in CRM, I want to have my stages well instrumented. I want to have reliable kind of feedback on what's working and what's not. And then I can run a series of experiments to figure out where's that source of new customers and what is that process that will reliably attract and retain them.
A challenge, though. So what?
Yes.
Because I totally agree with you content-wise, but just that transition from, there is an early indication of product market fit. We have built up some decent traction, and now we are facing kind of preparing for scalability in terms of repeatability. And what I see is that founders tend to hire leaders way too early. So what could happen? So either they kind of hire instantly with kind of hire number 1 or 2, they hire revenue leaders, or at least in the German-speaking or Europe region, they hire kind of a head of sales who is just focusing on a small pillar of the bow tie or the customer journey.
Yeah.
What I see as capital is scarce nowadays, that founders stay much, much longer as a revenue leader, kind of building up a small team depending on their go-to-market motion, hiring 1-2 marketing people, 1-2 salespeople, and either building up the first go-to-market team by them leading and building up the team, working on repeatability, and then much, much later than roughly 2 to 3 years ago, hiring a decent first level of leadership along the customer journey. What is
And
your perspective on that?
do you like that, Björn?
Personally, I love it because
too.
I think overall, so it's part of my job
Yeah.
and my service, but overall, I think that you are building much, much better companies with less risk, hiring the wrong people, like you're saying. And it's also driving another argument for me, and I'm happy to take your challenge, is that as a founder, you can mitigate between marketing, sales, customer success much, much easier because you still have the broader perspective than if you would have, for example, if you have a sales dominant motion and you hire a head of sales, it's hard to hire at these early days a kind of full-fledged revenue leader, bringing you from early product market fit to scalability.
I could not agree more, Björn. I would definitely do that. I'd hire in US terms, I'm not exactly sure how it translates. I'd hire a director level or a manager level person to do sales. I'd hire a head of, I like the title head of demand generation to be my marketing person. I don't need someone running brand. I don't need a CMO. I don't need someone running analyst relations or public relations. I need demand generation. So I'll hire someone who can run a sales effort, someone who can run a demand generation effort. And once I get to a certain point, it's going to be a few $1 million in, I think. I'll hire someone in charge of customer success. But I want these to be tactical leaders, ascendant in their careers, still curious, still willing to kind of figure this out as we go, knowing that we're playing a different game than the one we were playing 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And that is, and people early in their careers they're not so committed to the thing that helped them make it, from 7 years ago. They're willing to go learn the game as it's played today. And then, the CEO can be the bridge. And if I were doing it, Björn, I would insist. I mean, I know this sounds like a commercial, but I would insist that we all get on the same page around revenue architecture. I would want them to take the course. I'd want them to be certified. I'd want them to be using the same words. I'd want them to even read the book. I was talking to a CEO last week. He's of $100 million company. So this is a couple phases beyond where we're talking.
We'll come to this in a second. Yeah.
But he's got his head of product and head of sales and head of marketing all taking the revenue architecture course. And one of those people, I don't think anyone would know who they were, came back and said, wait a minute, they're telling me I have to take a test. And he said, yeah, you do. You have to take a test. To his credit. And he's an engineering background CEO. He's like, yeah, you have to take a test. You know why? Because when you take a test, you actually learn it better. Regardless of, even he said, and he told me, two groups, control group and test group, they did a study on this, did the same amount of preparation and study. One of them continued on and actually went through the act of taking the test. The other one had done the same amount of study, but they didn't take the test. And the one who took the test retained it better. So yes, you have to take a test. I would have that sort of insistence because I don't want to waste time trying to translate between marketing and sales and customer success in my executive meetings. I want us all to be on the same page.
Yeah. I'm intrigued because I normally stop working at 10 million and I do a lot of that. It's still, I think, manageable. Getting rid of these silos. And it's surprising, or it's fascinating to see even kind of silos between marketing and sales in
Sure.
very, very early stage companies. But I'm intrigued let's take this 1 million company. What is changing if head of product, so basically the entire extended go-to-market organization. So product for me is part of the go-to-market. So what is changing if they are taking your course? I'm happy to share some of the insights.
Well, in this particular case, come up really strong with one product, or I would say one set of products that has very strong product market fit and very strong growth indicators and very strong profitability. So done, right? Like, okay, mission accomplished, $100 million. No, like this CEO knows that that is not going to, in fact, he said to me, I love this quote. I'm not going to out who he is, even though I think he's amazing. He, uh, he said, look, our PE investors want us to optimize what we're doing, and they're very good at optimizing what we're doing. They're very good at helping us be more profitable, more efficient. He's like, but so optimizing the game we're in is not what I'm about. I'm going to change the game. So anything that you tell me that's like 3, 4, 5 years in the future, we're going to be playing a different game by then. So he's actually inventing kind of the next set of products and the next go-to-market motion. And he knows that in order to do that, he's going to have to do it all over again. Discover product market fit, discover go-to-market fit. He needs a team that stays curious and that isn't just kind of counting their wins. And so it's in the service of that, Bjorn, that he's having everyone get on the same page, because they weren't all there for the beginning stages of the journey for the original company.
Nice. So basically they're doing, so the leaders, just to get it right, because I think this is super interesting. So basically the leaders are in charge of optimizing the business, but basically also getting the foundation for the next growth
Yes.
acceleration, like kind of the classic S-curve or any kind of model you're referring to. So I find it fascinating from the road perspective, because the optimizing stuff and having this kind of curiosity to build up something from scratch or kind of introducing an entirely new product into the market, it's kind of a hell of a challenge. When you agree?
Super big challenge. And the market, the industry, we have this challenge right now. We have over 2,000 unicorn companies that are pre-IPO that are kind of stranded. And most of them are owned by private equity, and most of them are profitable, but they don't have the growth they need to get out. We're only going to have an IPO window of 300 or less, even when it opens all the way back up per year. So not all of these companies are going to make it. And growth is the thing that unlocks that. Like, we know that growth is 2.5 times more heavily weighted towards valuation than profitability is. So here we got PE firms that are really good at driving profitability. And then we got founders who in their founding years were really good at driving growth, but we got to rediscover growth now. For a scaled company, for $100 million ARR company, I got to rediscover growth. And it's not very often going to be doing the same thing that I used to do, that I did to get here. I'm going to have to go discover something new.
Hi there, just a brief break to share something exciting. My best-selling book, Funky Flywheels, is now available in both English and German. If you are building a B2B startup and want to scale smarter, this one is for you. I filled it with real-world insights from working with over 150 startups, alongside practical strategies to refine your go-to-market motion, enhance your sales efficiency, and accelerate growth. Grab your copy exclusively on Amazon. Links are in the show notes. And now back to your favorite episode. Nice. What would you say are the fundamental elements once you've implemented revenue architecture and at full swing? Let's assume, because you're trading at 100 million and now you basically go back to finding product market fit, introducing new segment penetration, etc. What are the key pillars you apply through the entire company, bearing in mind that you need much more pragmatism? And so I'm curious, what is the core foundation you apply, whatever it takes, in as a good baseline from revenue architecture perspective?
So can we assume that we've put in the system, the measurement systems, Bjorn, when we put in revenue architecture?
So you mean the conversion metrics, so the bow tie, some basic, let's assume, I think I have a skilled audience. So let's assume we have this common language in place.
Okay, great. So we came up we came up on an impressive growth curve. We've done pretty well. We're at scale. We have the bow tie instrumented in our business, and now we want to go invent either go after a new segment, go after a new go-to-market motion, or even go after a new product. That's the challenge, right? Yeah. So the first thing is to declare the challenge internally, make sure everybody understands, this is what we're doing. And for this particular CEO, he was very clear about that with his team. Like, this is what we're doing. This will be our future. I'm going to lead the way I led when I was a founder, with vision and with kind of determination to go after this particular segment or product or go-to-market motion. And then what I say is you basically need three things. You need a mindset, you need talent, and you need time. So if I've got that mindset, like I know what I'm going after. I know I'm going to lead with curiosity. I know I'm going to lead with empathy. I know I'm trying to deliver impact for my customers. I've got a mindset around those principles. I'm going to assemble a small group of people because I cannot innovate. So I just finished writing a book, Bjorn. I don't know if you knew that, but my book comes out later this year. It's called Freemium, and it's literally about this process. And I got to interview the folks at HubSpot that spun out their self-service products. Before they were PLG, they were all sales-led, and then they launched a PLG effort. And they took 10 people, carved them out of the business, said, this is your job. We're not going to have you report into your former bosses anymore.
Nice.
You're going to report into Brian Halligan, the CEO, and we're going to let you run until you can get lift off. So that's people. And those were talented people. They weren't the least talented people, the people that managers wanted to give up. There were people that managers didn't want to give up. They pulled them out, they dedicated them to the effort, and then you just need time. So you need a mindset, you need talent, and you need time. It's going to take you 18 months to iterate your way into a new business that's working, at least with product market fit if you're reinventing your product, with go-to-market fit if you're reinventing the way that you're going to market. Those three things, though, and with executive sponsorship, you should be able to get it done, especially if that executive is a founder who's done it before.
Great insights. Would you say is it kind of a sub-project team, or is it a big pot like marketing, sales, customer success, and product into this and to make it happen? Or because I know that you're a big fan of pods, me too. So just taking this example, were these 10 people in kind of one big pot or a kind of sub company, or because I think when you
so I call it a growth team, and generally I personally get involved when it's a product innovation. So yeah, I like to see engineering, product, design, like UX design, and analytics all in there. What
Nice.
HubSpot did is they actually put sales in there, but it was a hybrid sales role of sales and customer success. So they were seeing all the way through to first impact. 10 people, separate reporting arrangements. Don't go to the marketing all hands meeting anymore. Don't go to the engineering all hands meeting anymore. Don't go to the sales kickoff meetings anymore. This is your new job, and we're going to support you until you get to a certain liftoff. I mean, MongoDB did the same thing. Unity Software did the same thing. It's a pretty well-known tactic, but you have to have executive sponsorship to get that to work.
Yeah, I do it with a recent recently I did it with a client aiming kind of approaching 10 million, and we did it on much smaller scale, but we found out that we wanted to penetrate 5 different verticals and had the second strategic bet is mid-size versus enterprise. So we built up dedicated pods for kind of these 5 different segments and aligning them, kind of the go-to-market or the commercial team strongly aligned with the product, because in every segment it needs some iteration and tweaks product-wise as well. You're smiling. So it's kind of but it helped the entire company speeding up again, and we're still talking about small company, but also to get really accelerate this vertical expertise, the link to product. So it's a lot of fun working with them using pods.
And you did 5 of those.
Yes. So we have kind of vertical. So it's normally I don't like metrics, but we have a head of demand gen, lead in demand gen, and we have kind of head of sales, and then we have 5 different pods dealing with vertical solution, and one for starting we have an enterprise pod who's serving some verticals together.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I long time ago, we sold a company to Oracle, and I worked at Oracle for a while. And Larry Ellison is extremely focused, and he basically says he does not like if he wants you to put food on the table only if you're the one that is delivering the business. He doesn't want you sort of attaching yourself to someone else who's doing a lot of work and then living off of their work.
Yeah.
So this kind of pod idea is good. Like, you essentially go find the business, you win the business, you earn the business, right? You win it, you maintain it, you sustain it, you build it, and you put food on the table to the extent that you're succeeding.
Yeah, absolutely. And it empowered, it got great talent lifted. We kind of reduced the direct leadership. So also from an efficiency perspective, so we won't have time to dive into efficiency as of now. But yeah, I'm super happy with the current state. So it's such a shame, Dave, because time is flying by. But I won't let you go before I ask you one question, which is kind of a prerequisite for all of my guests. What, bearing in mind your vast experience over decades and writing a book and have done so many things, what are you learning as of now, or what you do not master yet fully?
Oh, well, when I moved from Boston to Silicon Valley, I learned a ton. Like, I was in the enterprise software game, and then all of a sudden in Silicon Valley, enterprise software looked totally different. People were giving their product away for free. They were optimizing it for usage. They had, this is in the age of like uh, Twilio and Dropbox and DocuSign and these kind of early stage Zendesk, these early stage products that you could buy for less than $10,000. I wouldn't have rolled out of bed at Oracle for less than $100,000, but these companies were giving things away, so I had to learn a whole new game. That game has now turned out over 40 public companies through this freemium model, and we've learned a ton. Now we're resetting the clock again, and we're learning another game, which is all around AI. So I think the automation that was introduced by product-led growth is now being accelerated by the automation that's available through AI. So what are the tasks that I used to have a salesperson do, and then I had PLG do, and now I can have AI do? How can I accelerate that? This is something that I don't know yet, Bjorn. Like, I'm diving in. I got my sleeves rolled up, working with multiple companies on it. But we gotta lean in with curiosity right now and figure out the boundaries of how much of this can be further automated through AI, because I think it's a go-to-market industrial revolution.
Yeah, it's a great cliffhanger. It's when is your book coming out? As because I'm already curious.
August 26th, Stanford University Press, August 26th. Pre-sales opened about a week ago, so it's pretty new, but I'm looking forward to that.
All right. Yeah, I discovered it already on while I was doing research. As you know, I recently published my book, so it's already available. But I will definitely check it out. And due to the fact that it's coming out in 26, potentially you will find the time to read some of the pages.
August 26th of 2025.
All right. Good.
Yes, this coming August. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Dave, it was a pleasure. It was so short while. Thanks for taking the time. I wish you a wonderful day.
Alles Gute.
Thank you. Bye-bye. thank you very much for tuning in. Each week, I have the pleasure of engaging with exceptional founders, industry experts, and investors to discuss the ups and downs of early stage growth. I primarily focus on B2B and Gen AI startups progressing from 1 million to 10 million ARR. We share valuable lessons and best practices for scaling quickly and efficiently. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to give me a feedback on LinkedIn or give it a thumbs up. I can't wait to see you in the next one.